But you got to understand, when we started negotiating with the Department of War during the Biden administration, so this is not really politically motivated. It's the government recognizes, the Pentagon recognizes, the Department of War recognizes we got a problem. And so we think, in fact, I know we could change this problem. We're doing it every day. And it is fixable. It takes time and it takes money and it takes resources, but it is very fixable.
Welcome to the Reboot Chronicles, your gateway to the world's most influential leaders who are rebooting their organizations and themselves to thrive in unprecedented times. I'm your host, Dean DeBias, CEO who's rebooted dozens of companies, creating billions in value. My passion is uncovering inspiring reboot stories. So buckle up, lean in, and please share this episode with a friend. It may help reboot their career and their life. Today on the Reboot Chronicles, we're joined by Gary Evans, a transformative CEO and veteran rebooter of billion-dollar companies with a track record of scaling industry-defining businesses across energy, biotech, and minerals. Gary is the CEO of U.S. Antimony, the only domestic processor of antimony, a critical mineral essentially for weapons and electronics, everything from bullets and missiles to data centers and, yes, even your cell phone. With a growing market cap and major new contracts, investments, and partnerships announced this week, Antimony is stepping up into a pivotal national security role, removing supply chain reliance on China and other bad actor countries, providing America a path for critical materials and energy independence. Pretty cool. A recovering banker, Gary's career spans more than $8 billion raised on Wall Street, leaderships of multiple NYSE-listed companies, and many boards, including Novavax, as it scaled to $20 billion in valuation during the pandemic. Recognized as a Entrepreneur of the Year, Dealmaker of the Year, he is one of the most respected CEOs in the industry. Today, we're going to dig into Antimony's breakthrough moment, the strategic importance of critical materials, as well as how Gary is positioning the company for the next phase of growth and market leadership. Gary, good to see you. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dean, for having me here today.
Yeah, we love what you've been doing and talk about some of the deals that you've got going. It's so good to see a company like yours bringing back something that America's really been needing for so long. But before we get into that, you and I have a lot of stuff in common. We both run public companies, but probably the most fun thing is we both love karaoke and we both gravitate to singing Johnny Cash songs. So I definitely had to have you on for that because I have a feeling your voice is better than mine.
Well, I started singing Johnny Cash songs, I guess about 7 or 8 years ago. Ring of Fire, Walk the Line, Folsom Prison, Jackson, Man in Black. I kind of sneak away. We have a little bar here in Dallas that on Tuesday nights I'll sneak in and sing a song or two and have a beer and leave. So it's fun. Whenever
Burning Ring of Fire. Yeah.
Going down, down, down. Yeah.
Quench my desire. Very nice.
I like to change that song to say going up, up, rather than down, down, down.
Up. Yeah, like my stock price. Oh my gosh. Did you ever meet Johnny?
I never did. I've read about him. I've bought some of his memorabilia. I've, watched his movies, but no, I never had a chance to meet him.
Yeah, me neither. I really wanted to. I just used to love his swagger, It was such a cool
He was a man of his own. Nobody was like Johnny Cash.
Yeah. I called you a recovering banker. I hope you didn't mind. But,
no.
You kind of bet yourself at one point into getting into the energy business and then, critical minerals. So you're obviously a man of guts and ambition. And what do you think has driven your success?
Well, I went to school at SMU here in Dallas, and I
great school.
Speak to some of the MBAs that are graduating, and I use one word.
You're on the board there too, I think.
Yes, and it's called the McGuire Energy Institute, and I give them one word: tenacity. Because if you don't stick with it, I tell people all the time. My first 3 years in the oil and gas business, I was a banker for 9 years. I started my first oil and gas company in 1985, June of 85. January 86, oil hit $11 a barrel, and 86, 87, and 88 were horrible years. My mom was my first employee.
Brutal. Oh.
And every time I'd come in to the office, she'd go, "Honey, you sure you don't want to shut it down today?" And I go, "Mom, I'm not giving up." And if you're not in the game and those opportunities come around, you'll never be able to take advantage of them. So that's my whole point is if you can stick with it, blood, sweat, and tears and hang on, even when things are really tough, there will be better times. Always is. I've never seen it in any industry where there wasn't better times. And so that's my main recommendation to the younger generation is stick with it.
You're humble as well. I can tell because you use the word tenacity. Some of you have no idea what this man's been through. You're about to find out. I mean, you were down to your last dollar. You bet the farm a few times. You've had some crash and burn stories.
No question.
What kept you going? Because tenacity is one thing, but to have the wherewithal to get through. People are like, oh, I can get through it. It's only a couple of weeks. Like, no, you're talking years of pain.
It's I think a lot of people are born with some entrepreneurial spirit. I would say that I've been an entrepreneur my whole life. I'm a deal junkie. I love deals. I've loved being able to dissect deals and figure out which ones are good and bad and which ones are ugly. So I think that just, as you get older and have some success, you obviously learn from your mistakes. We've all made them. I don't know any wealthy people in the industries I'm in that have not had failures. You're going to have some failures. What you hope to achieve, though, as you get older, is you mitigate those risks. Your failures aren't such that they take you down. They may knock you back, but they don't take you out of the game. And so it's constantly, in this business today, we have no debt. I mean, we have $100 million of cash and no debt. This is not a business where you need to have debt. It's too cyclical and there's too much going on. So that's a mistake. I will tell you, I made an oil and gas business. My third company, I had too much debt. And so, you learn from those mistakes.
Did you have, I talk a lot about mentors on the show, especially some of mine, but did you have some great mentors that helped you through?
I had definitely a mentor when I was a banker. He was a gentleman that owned an oil and gas company I financed. He's the one that kind of helped me get going. I did a leveraged buyout as a broke banker at age 27. I bought a company for $1.2 million with $1,000 down, and his company financed the $1.2 million note. So that's how a broke banker gets in the oil and gas business. So him, and then there were others. And I've always, if you look at my boards going back from the very beginning, I've always put older gentlemen that had been successful that could give me guidance and that would, help me do things. And if you look at our board today, I mean, I've got some guys that are
you've got Jack
more
Keane on there. He's a stud.
Who's that? Great.
Jack.
Oh yeah, Jack Keane. Yeah, General Keane came on the board about 6 months ago, and he's been a tremendous help. But I have some miners on the board that are, been mining for 40, 50 years that I consider mentors. I ask their advice. And I think that's the other thing. As you get older, you get smart enough to ask for help, ask for advice. Nobody knows it all. And I think they respect that I respect their opinion. And I'm learning from them every day. I mean, as you know, I'm not a miner. I've been in this business 3 years. I think I've learned a lot, and I would never profess to be a mining engineer, but we have some really sharp talent on our board.
That could be the title of this episode. We're all miners, one way or the other. I mentioned your crash and burn moments. I mean, you took pretty much a broken company public, I don't know, 18 cents a share or something like 15 years ago, and grew it. You were on a tear. I think you were the first one to be on 3 exchanges, and basically, I think you sold that business for a couple billion.
$0.2 billion. I started out. That's the one. That's a company I started out with $1,000.
Most people would have given up on that journey. That's a long time.
It was a 20-year journey, and I promise you, the first 3 years were absolutely hell. I mean, I can't describe it any other way. But I was smart enough to figure out ways to stay alive, and how we stayed alive in those first 3 years is not that we didn't have business. I had business coming out my ears. It's just nobody could pay their bills. When you have 11 and 12 and $18 oil, these oil companies couldn't pay their bills. So I had to either go down with them or survive. And I hired a couple lawyers. We filed mechanics liens. I got to know every judge and district attorney. And in a
Best thing to
5-county
do.
area. And I became the foreclosure king of North Central Texas. And that's when the banks started foreclosing on properties, and they saw what I was doing and asked me to start managing their problem loans. And so then once I started managing them, then they say, well, would you like to buy them? And so they start financing. So I was buying other people's foreclosed
Yeah.
property.
You know what I love about that story is you turned a problem into a new business model.
You had no choice. There was no other.
you were
there was
like,
no other. Either that or go broke.
yeah, the Tulsa King.
Well, being a
comes to
banker
mind.
too, the banks knew me,
Yeah,
and so they felt confident that I wasn't,
yeah, and it was kind of in your old wheelhouse, so
Right.
that made sense to me.
But you're right. We went public in 1990 at 18 cents a share on the Boston Stock Exchange, which doesn't exist today. And
No.
then we graduated to the American, and then we graduated to New York. And so when I rang the bell on the New York Exchange, the chairman told me, he says, we've researched your company, and you're the first company in all U.S. history of any company that's gone from the Boston to the American to the New York. And so I thought that was pretty cool. And
What did that feel like when you rang the bell with the big dogs? I mean, that's a whole different level playing field. I've done NASDAQ, I've taken companies public there, but NYSE is a whole different game.
it's good. I think I've rang the bell maybe 4 times. We're getting ready to ring the bell again in March. We've been approved for graduation of the full board, so we're going to do it
Oh, you
again.
are? Oh, good.
Have our board down.
Oh, that's fantastic. So you've been on this growth tear. The administration has obviously held the Department of War is dead set on, reversing this damage that China's done just in antimony alone. I think they control 70% of the market. They've ruined the market and pushed everyone out of business, as most people don't know. And you've come in and said, we can reverse that, which is going to take some guts. What's that journey been like, and how do you position the U.S. now for a future of, strength?
Well, antimony, has been around a long time and has always been necessary for all world wars. We go back to the Korean, to the World War I, to Vietnam, World War II. Antimony deposits in the U.S. were essential for those wars. And so, unfortunately, our government got weaned on Chinese antimony. And China had gone around the world and bought up antimony mines in 20 some odd countries. They had the largest mine in the world called Twinkle Star. It was been operating for, probably 100 years. And in June of 24, that mine was officially deemed depleted. And in September of 24 is when China cut off all shipments of antimony to all countries in the world, including the United States. And that's when all of a sudden, the Department of Defense at that time, now the Department of War, woke up and said, wait a minute, Houston, we got a problem. So my phone started ringing off the hook because we were the only smelter active in the United States. And long story short, after a number of meetings and visits, we executed a contract of $245 million, that's now $248 million, to sell the government what's called antimony ingots. It's like a gold bar, but it's an antimony bar, 99.7% antimony. And we have the serial number, they test it, and then we put it on pallets, shrink wrap it, and send it to the government. It's strictly used for stockpile, inventory.
Yeah.
And
which is what you do, even when not in wartime. And of course, they're suppliers and all. And didn't they also? They've also been removing regulations. I think they put up about $12 billion for American rare earth stockpile reserves. Is that?
Well, that's just been the last week they've announced. I think Exim Bank was $10 billion of that, and 2 from other private companies. People don't realize
is that enough? I mean, it sounds like a big number. Like, oh my gosh, to me, it sounds small. If you're trying to kill China, or at least compete with them, seems like you add a 0 to that. Maybe
China wouldn't have done this, in my opinion, if there truly was not a shortage of antimony. And I have lots of reasons for saying that. When we're out buying, we buy today from 6 countries: Chad, Bolivia, Australia, Peru, Mexico, and Canada. And the Canada comes out of a tailgate of a plant. It's not being mined there. Our only competition is the People's Republic of China. There is nobody else competing with us. And they do it,
which was their design.
cool.
They designed that. They're playing the long game, right?
Oh, they're on a 100-year plan. We've been on a 1-year plan. So no question that we finally have awakened up. Fortunately, this administration has taken it very seriously. But you got to understand, when we started negotiating with the Department of War during the Biden administration, so this is not really politically motivated. It's the government recognizes, the Pentagon recognizes, the Department of War recognizes we got a problem. And so we think, in fact, I know we could change this problem. We're doing it every day. And it is fixable. It takes time and it takes money and it takes resources, but it is very fixable.
And if anyone can do it, you can do it. I think you said we're down to 2 smelters, which is how you actually process this stuff. Is that like a big, ugly, like oil refinery looking place, or what is?
I would say the best way to
people an
describe
idea
it is look at a steel mill where you see molten rock. We have furnaces that make molten antimony, and with that molten antimony, we make 7 different products. And so, just to give you a quick idea of what those products are, we make for the military. You can't fire a bullet in the world without antimony. It's the hardening material for lead, and it's the ignition system and primers. It's in solar panels. It's in night vision cameras. It's in all the drones have antimony, and then fire retardants for roofing materials, for all the data centers.
Everything.
All the wiring has to have antimony. Yep. Cell phones, and it goes on and on and on. And some of those big companies on that $12 billion vault deal. If you look, this General Motors, it's big companies. GM uses antimony in door panels, for cars. And so it's a very, very unique material, and there's been no replacement for it. And nobody goes looking for antimony historically. It's always been found with gold or other critical minerals. So what we did in Alaska is we got close to 30,000 acres up there now. We went and saw the Geological Society and said, hey, we know antimony's been discovered up here by gold miners for 125 years. Where is it? So they showed us all the deposits. Next day, we rented helicopters, dropped pins. That's how you lease in Alaska. And we leased it all up. And so now we've been mapping. We've been getting all our permits, which we have now. We're all lined up for beginning in May. We're going to be mining like 7 different properties.
And when you mine this stuff, is it combined with coal and copper? And so you got to separate it, break it up. The processing sounds intense.
Mostly gold, which is a good thing. So we'll be picking up antimony with gold, possibly some silver and copper. But
I'm liking this business model even more. The gold part.
It's gold. Antimony is most found around the world with gold.
And the recent deal you did is America's Gold and Silver Company, an Idaho mine. I'm still, sounds like a great deal. Very smart. You guys move fast, like a startup. I'm still having a hard time. 2 smelters in one of the most powerful countries in the world. It just sounds like the worst thing we could ever, any position we could ever be in. Worse than your 18-cent stock back in the day. I mean,
well, let's talk about that for a second. The Thompson Falls smelter, which is our primary smelter, was only doing 100 tons a month in capacity output for 2025. We've just completed a $22 million expansion, which fires up in probably the 3rd week of March. And that will take that smelter to about 400 tons a month. We have a smelter in Mexico. We fired up in April. It can do 200 tons a month. And then this new hydromet facility we're doing with America's Gold and Silver probably is going to be something like 300 to 400 tons a month. So we're taking 100 tons up to 1,000 tons pretty quick.
Wow, that's good. And then when you take it out of the earth, you don't do it there. You got to move it. You got to train it to the smelter.
It obviously depends on the quality and concentrate of the antimony. Alaska is likely going to be 40 to 60% concentrate, which is a high level. The Montana mine we opened up in September is 10% concentrate. There's mines in Idaho we're aware of that are only 1% concentrate. So what you have to do is you have to go to what's called a contact mill or a flotation facility, and it goes through a process to get rid of all the trash rock, separate the gold and other precious minerals, and then concentrate that to a level to get it to make military spec, to go into our furnaces in Thompson Falls. we have to have 60% concentrate. So the midstream, which what I call it in the mining sector, the mining guys hate it because that's an oil and gas term, but really the midstream is taking that ore, cleaning up the rock, getting rid of the trash, and making something that can go into a smelter.
And why, for the listeners, why is this so important from a national security, energy, defense, just dominance point of view?
Well, as remember, it's not only the United States, but it's all our NATO countries. It's Australia. I mean, it's not, and it's just not just antimony. Tungsten is another critical mineral that when China cut off antimony in September of 24, they also did tungsten. There's no tungsten today being mined in the United States or Canada. We hope to change that soon. We'll have some news about that in the near future. So, there's other critical minerals. What's tungsten used for? Submarines and tanks.
Yeah.
It's a second hardest mineral behind diamonds. And so if you buy a drill bit at Home Depot, that's a tungsten drill bit.
I have some of them.
Drilling rigs, all the diamond, there's diamond bits and tungsten bits. So anyway,
How about
so
cobalt?
it's not just antimony and cobalt. Cobalt's another critical mineral not mined in the United States. The DRC or the Congo controls, I think 75-80% of worldwide cobalt. Guess who's over there? China controls most of the mines in the Congo. So
that's their long game again.
The long game.
Your plant. Yeah. How do we win against the long game? That's not just your industry. It's every industry I've been in.
Think about American ingenuity. There's nobody that's smarter than us. I mean, this country has got the brightest minds, and we always figure out a way. Every war we turned all our automobile manufacturing into making tanks, and I mean, we have the ingenuity, we have the know-how, and we move faster. Why does China copy us? Everything they do, they try to copy everything. Well, because we're the most intelligent with respect to technology and new ways to do business, and we'll do it again.
Yeah, it's almost back to the World War II wartime mentality. Besides tenacity, it's having the guts and the wherewithal to actually transition an economy in a country and your partners' countries too. Yeah, it wasn't just being national,
right?
But so what's your biggest strength? You seem like me. You're a deal maker, partnership guy. How do you run the company? Like if I interviewed some of your employees, what would they say your management style is these days?
Hopefully, they say I'm the hardest working employee. I try to emphasize hard work, and I'm very much a CEO who rewards people that have success. And so all my companies, my first company that I told you about started in 85. When I sold that company in 2025, I had 37 employees became millionaires. That's pretty cool. And I want my employees to have stock ownership. I want them to feel like they're part of this. And you get a different mentality. And you have to hire the right people. I mean, I just hired a new guy last week. I'm very excited about. I'm hiring another guy this week. It's a constant job finding the right quality people, and we have some very senior people in this company. They've been around a long time that need to train younger people. And we obviously got all this new AI technology coming out. I have some news coming on that as well soon. We have to be at the forefront. We can't be thinking the old way is the right way. We've got to use this new technology world that we live in today and try to figure out how do we do our business better.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, a lot of new technologies, a lot of tech, a lot of AI coming out. Oil exploration has always been such a, both an art and a science. I assume there's some new technology tools, like your whole discovery process has to be, as a leader, I would find it very frustrating because it's not a definitive, it's a lot of trial and error.
Think about mining, like up in Alaska. We have geological reports, geophysical reports. We have gravity surveys. We have satellite information. We have written reports from old miners. We have all this data. And, one of my lead geologists, he's a great guy, but he blows up his computer all the time. He's got so much data on it. And I'm thinking there's got to be a better way to take all that data in these new supercomputers and use AI technology to bring it all together and say, hey, the area over here, this looks a lot better because of 20 different other metrics, right? So that's what we're working on right now.
exactly. It actually works. I've got a couple of companies for you that can do that, because you want to use a couple different technologies to do that. But the back to the leadership style thing. So, what are you looking for in people? So, some people want to come and work for you. If you gave them a little punch list and said, "This is what not so much the skills, but just the people themselves."
They're typically highly specialized in a narrow area. That's what I look for. I don't need generalists. I need specialists. And so an engineer we just hired recently, very knowledgeable mining engineer in a special area. And you obviously want to hire people that have had success in their prior jobs. I mean, my top geologist in Alaska discovered the largest gold mine in Alaska, Fort Knox gold fields. I mean, so people that have had the experience, have had success in their prior jobs and prior lives, and know that, that makes you have confidence in them.
When you're mentoring these guys, do you have them hang out with old miners too, just to get to the folklore of those local areas? Is probably more important than the part of the report.
What I find the older guys are so good at is, this is still a small industry and they know everybody and they hear about things that aren't on the market. That's where we really shine. We find little nuggets, if you will, that nobody else is looking at. And it was discovered in 23 and they quit mining in 38. And this is what they found. I mean, that's the kind of stuff we like to find, is that we bought a tungsten play in Canada last May for $5 million. And I've been saying for the past year, I think it's worth over 100. Well, now I've got a resource report that says it's worth a whole lot more than that. So those are the kind of things that get you excited.
Yeah, boy, that was a smart purchase. Give that guy a bonus. Anything else that you look for in the, you've been in so many industries. I love people that have been in multiple industries, but maybe a better way to ask, did you like the energy business better than the mining business? Mining's a whole different bird.
The similarities between oil and gas and mining are extraordinary. Because, you're dealing with leases, you're dealing with landowners, you're dealing with the same type of thing. You have to deal with the EPA, you have to deal with Forest Service, all the things that we did in oil and gas. The thing that I keep telling people that's different about mining versus oil and gas, my whole life, 38 years in oil and gas business, I always dealt in a commodity that other countries were curtailing, i.e. Venezuela, Iran, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Russia, opening the spigots and shutting the spigots. And today, as we sit here today in oil and gas, oil is hanging around $60 a barrel, and there's probably 3.5-4 million barrels off the market that we don't control. Mining, there's no big, huge antimony pile sitting over here. There's no big company hoarding antimony. It's all been used. It's all been found. So that causes, obviously, the price to increase because there's a lack of supply. Well, when that price increases, things become economic that weren't economic at $5 a pound that are economic at 30. So that opens up older mines, older fields that have been, people say, oh, it was depleted in the 57. Well, guess what? That was when antimony was $2 a pound. Today, it's $22 a pound.
It's worth it. Go for it. Yeah.
I've always found that oil and gas
the technology is better too, right?
Yeah.
You've got better tech to.
I've always found oil and gas in my history. I always told my engineers and geologists, we're going to go where oil and gas has already been found. We're not explorationists. We're going to go find and do it better, cut our costs, use new technology. I've always been what I call the junkyard dog. I'll go buy barrels of junk and try to make it better. Same thing in the mining business. We're taking over old mines that other people abandoned. Nothing here is new. Nobody discovered something new. Everything that's going on today in our business is old mines. Nothing.
And you think that'll change with AI?
It will just get better. We're getting better and better at it. New technology, like America's Gold and Silver is using some new technology on their mines. It really impressed us that other miners hadn't done. And, it's just doing things better and smarter and using the technology advances that we've made in the last 20 years.
And what, you've gone from junkyard dog to, probably one of the smartest guys on the planet that knows how to really optimize a business? There's not too many out there. What's your view of success? How do you know you've made it? And where do you see this going in the second half of the decade?
Well, one thing I've learned over the years, you mentioned I'd raised about $8 billion on Wall Street. The bigger you are, the easier it is to raise capital. There's no question about that. And the
Agreed.
cheaper that capital comes. So, when I took over this company 3 years ago, we had a 20 million market cap. Stock was 20 cents a share. And now we're trading around $7-8 a share and a lot of $1 billion market cap. So stock went as high as 19 this year. Crazy. But this will easily be a $2-3 billion company in the next couple of years. I mean, it's just like taking candy from a baby. It's not hard. Now, we want to do it smartly. We want to do it in a measured way. We want to do it where we don't dilute shareholders. And we're very careful not to dilute our shareholders. And obviously having revenues, cash flow, and EBITDA and earnings helps that trend. So we're going from a micro cap embryonic company, didn't have a whole lot to say for itself, to a company this year, our revenues are projected to be 125 million from 5 million when I took over. So that's pretty fast in 3 years. How do we do that? We were right place at the right time. I'll be the first to tell you that. But we took advantage of it. We got the government to give us a contract. We got another big contract of 106 million from an industrial customer. We have new contracts we're negotiating all the time. So people see we're growing, that we're going to have the supply, and they're confident to give us the business.
It's a great story.
Thank you.
Gary, I want to thank you for joining us today. We really look forward to watching you as you turn this into a $1 billion brand and take it to the next level.
Thank you, Dean. Appreciate you having me on today.
Absolutely. You've been listening to Gary Evans, the CEO of Antimony. This is Dean Device with Reboot Chronicles. We want to thank you for joining us today. Like us or subscribe wherever you get podcasts or at rebootchronicles.com.